Sweet. Eric, nice to meet you. Great name. And thanks
Pleasure,
for
I know.
joining the live
And
stream.
spelled the correct way too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why don't you just introduce your question and what you're thinking about, and I'll do
Yep.
my best to help.
Yeah, sure. So I am currently employed full time. I'm about, I don't know, 5 years away from retiring in my mind. So I have a combination of workplace 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, taxable brokerage account, and cash. Um, I've really been occupying my time just trying to learn as much as I can, and while I'm in the accumulator phase of wealth, I'm also accumulating information. So I've been watching your videos, and among others as well, and I'm learning about all different types of products. And one product that kind of came across with some frequency in the last couple of months is this new thing called, I guess it's a new thing, it was new to me anyway, called a hybrid pension. And my understanding is it's a form of annuity, but the difference is that it has a lifetime rider attached to it. So originally, I guess, or- originally, um, I've kind of been told, and, just also in watching videos that maybe, annuities not necessarily don't make sense for a majority of people. While I'm sure they do make sense for certain people in certain situations, for the most part, with careful planning, and actually engaging financial advisors and retirement specialists and using software like Bolding, you actually create your own annuity, basically. So without having money tied up for any period of time and being subject to fees and things like that. But, this product, kind of claims it delivers the best of both worlds with, an annuity, but also a lifetime rider. And there's videos about this as well. So I know that they have something to sell here too. So I guess that what I was looking for is just a general POV on this particular product and pitfalls to kind of consider, and maybe a hypothetical situation as to where someone you know would maybe benefit from something like a hybrid pension. Does that make
Well,
sense?
it's yeah, perfect. The setup is great. I think I have two clarifying questions just to make sure, and I think it will help for viewers that don't understand exactly what we're talking about. I just want to make sure we're defining terms. When you say hybrid pension, I think what you're describing is the annuity-like function of a guaranteed stream of payments, but also the flexibility to bring out principal amounts which normally would be locked up in a traditional annuity setting. Okay, so
Yeah,
you're really talking about like what's called a variable annuity, which is like a particular insurance product that allows this type of flexibility where you can put money in, it gets invested inside the insurance product, the same way it would in the stock market for the most part. And then um, you have the ability to do principal withdrawals. Like it's not technically yet annuitized. I mean, you haven't like given up control to the insurance company. But at some point you can annuitize it, and then you'll get a stream of payments at that point, is basically what you're talking about. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think there's a couple different riders that you can add.
For sure.
There's the hypothetical one where it's really based on market performance, and then a guaranteed one where you pay a fee but you get a guaranteed annual increase. But
Yeah.
obviously there's a bunch of variables like when you put your money in and how long you defer and all these things. But the people that are pushing these products are talking about 10-20% payouts, and they make it really
Yeah.
appealing, but the one thing I haven't noticed is where they talk about the fees. you know so yeah, that's what I'm.
I mean, it is an interesting product. I'm not insurance licensed,
Yeah.
and so I only say that in the sense of like I don't have this like conflict of interest of like, do I sell it, do I not? But I am intrigued by different things. I'm like I try to take the most balanced view and say like I'm tool agnostic, meaning like the right tool for the right situation without leaning into prejudgments for them. And so I think I'm one of the few advisors on well, I'm one of the few CFPs, let's say, or fiduciaries that would say, well, an annuity can make sense in some cases. I think it really is actually much more about your psychological predisposition than about your actual financial economics. If you're trying to make a decision on an annuity purely based off economics, it's probably not an economically viable trade, in the sense of the trade, what you give up for what you obtain doesn't offset, and the fees you pay along the way in most cases won't offset. But I'm actually a big proponent that you pay for what you pay premiums. We pay premiums all the time in life for things that will give us the outcomes we feel best about. I'm like, I totally believe that's one of the things we should index into. For instance, like, I'm not handy. So if I try to fix my air conditioner at home, I'm going to spend three frustrating days over a weekend, not with my kids, not with my wife, not doing things I like. I'd rather pay a premium for an AC guy to come out and fix my AC. We do that all the time. And so for some reason, I think we forget that in the retirement planning space, that one of the reasons we save is to buy ourselves the freedom, not just financially, but also emotionally. Like, if someone doesn't want the responsibility or feelings of anxiety that come with market volatility, then an insurance product can be, an annuity product can be a perfectly good, satisfying example of that. Now, the idea, I think what you're proposing, and not proposing, what you're asking me to kind of evaluate is like, are they lucrative? There's some of this advertised component of like, you can get better returns, you can get better outcomes as a result of it. And to transparently, I'm not prepared to say yes or no, in the sense, like, I haven't done any like rigorous evaluation. What I would say is, we can think about it from a first principles perspective, which is how does it actually function? If we just zoom out and say, how's this actually functioning? A variable annuity has two phases to it. There's the phase in which you're depositing money to it, which is called the accumulation phase, like, actually coincidentally. And during that phase, you have all the flexibility of like a brokerage account, maybe even a retirement account. You can put money in, you can take it out. Some of them have tax deferral benefits, some don't, just depends on the product you get. Where it really functions like an annuity is, at some point you have to, what's called, annuitize it. You have to trigger this shift from basically a bucket of retirement savings where principal is accessible, to a annuitized stream of income where, depending on what riders you purchase, will either limit or release those limits on how your principal is accessible, whether you get a death benefit, whether you get a return of principal at the end. Like, those things are determined mostly by the rider that you purchase. So why I say that, when we think about this, again, I go back to like incentives. We have to remember that the insurance company, and by the way, again, I have no issues with this ethically, the insurance company has to make money on the product. Where it becomes unethical is if you sell the product to people who don't need it by mispositioning, feeding on fear or anxiety. Now, can this product produce these disproportionate results with the lower risk that are advertised? I don't think so, because risk and reward are like physics, right? It's like, can you lean off of a cliff and have less of an injury if you take some special circumstances? No, the injury is about the size of the fall. And if you lean off a cliff, you're inviting a certain amount of risk of whether you're going to fall. So there's immutable laws of physics in my mind. And if someone's advertising a disproportionate return, there always has to be an equal disproportionate level of risk that is someone is absorbing. And in my experience, it is most likely the ignorant consumer that absorbs it, because they wouldn't sell an economically unviable product. Does that make sense? So I don't know. I haven't done the evaluation. Now, there are some fringe cases where VULs can make sense in very tactical planning. An example of that is extremely high net worth people that cannot figure out how to get enough money into Roth. A VUL, a variable life policy, can be useful because you can do policy loans against it and they're tax-free. And if you have the right rider, you can get the return of principal. And so if you like jigger it in the right way, it can be really good, like lucrative for someone who's like above the estate limit, like to 12, 13, 20, 50, $100 million net worth at the end of life. Like, is that me or you? I'm not sure, but that's really the only clear case where I'm like, I would explore a VUL with the associated costs. Is like, let's get more money into a tax-free source of funds. And even then, I would still want to like really rigorously model it. So I don't know, that was more than you asked, but did that help answer some of it?
No, it does. Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I'm already kind of like dubious about, annuity products kind of from the jump, but, I'm also in marketing. So, I know when they kind of repackage it and call it like a hybrid pension, and they have these other elements, I have to admit, like, things are intriguing. Like, I ended up watching the video, just to learn more about it because it's new and novel to me. So that's why I kind of want to, ask around and get other people's kind of opinions on products like this.
For sure. And,
Yeah.
if I may, I'll wrap because I think that's been kind of the conclusion of your question. But really, just
Yeah.
a quick summary is like, um, kind of everything can be determined by math if we have the time and the willingness to put in the effort. And I don't mean that in a judgmental way, meaning like I know that there is some amount of effort everyone's willing to put in, and everyone has a different threshold. Above a certain amount of effort, we don't want to put we don't choose to put it in because it requires a sacrifice elsewhere. I have no judgment of that. What I will say is that's the area where that arbitrage where we can get manipulated is. And so it's like kind of the rule of thumb I would follow is like, don't make a decision on something you don't fully understand. If someone
Yeah.
presents you something that they can't substantiate on, but it tugs your emotions, just notice the tugging and say, I'm going to pull out of this endeavor. And if they're willing to go, like, I think like I could have chosen many routes for my career. I could have gone into insurance as well. And I'm pretty sure I could have made an entirely ethical business exclusively selling variable life policies because I would have done the same thing I'm doing now, which is just let's be really rigorous about the modeling. Let's talk to the target audience whom would actually benefit from this. And let's exclude the people who would not. So we don't have this unethical cross contamination of people who are lured into it because they're in that gray area. So it can be done is my point. Just, I want to be really charitable. Like it can be done. And I've seen lots of people do that. So anyways, I hope that's helpful.
Yeah. Certainly helpful. Thank you. And I appreciate you.
Thanks. Okay, cool. Well, Eric, thanks for joining. Very nice to meet. Real quick, let me show you the exact 3-pillar comprehensive retirement roadmap that takes retirees from uncertainty to peace of mind that less than 1% of retirees actually have in place. Now, I've built hundreds of these for retirees, and I can say with a high degree of confidence that these are the 3 pillars every retiree needs to have in place in order to have full confidence that they're not missing anything in their retirement plan. And I broke each of these down by the specific questions. You can see them here that each needs to be answered and the best way to answer them. Now, we've done this across pre-retirees, recent retirees, married couples, single retirees, $1 million portfolios, $10 million portfolios, all the above, and it works. And it's my gift to you today. It's absolutely free. It's in the first link in the description below this video. It's going to say free comprehensive retirement roadmap training. Just click the link, enter your info, and you'll get instant access all for free.